Welcome into 49ers Access. My name is Sterling Bennett, and we may have just witnessed one of the greatest Thursday night football games of all time. Let's get into it. That was awesome. The San Francisco 49ers have advanced to 4-1 on the young season after what probably is the greatest game thus far this season from anybody. That was phenomenal from beginning to end. That was game of the year candidacy on display out there at SoFi Stadium. That was impressive stuff that we saw. And the San Francisco 49ers handed the Rams another loss this year and are 3-0 in the NFC West division and now 4-1 on the season. And if it all ended today, the San Francisco 49ers would be the number 2 seed in the NFC playoff picture. Obviously, things don't end today, but this was a game that took grit. It took grime. It took whatever it takes to win football games just like this. What an impressive outing by the San Francisco 49ers, from Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh to Mac Jones and Kendrick Bourne having a career night, and even this young defense coming through on a continual basis. And it wasn't all perfect. It wasn't all great and grand. This game got really dicey down at the wire, but San Francisco pulls this thing out, and the defense, for the third, maybe fourth time this year, makes a game-saving play to end the game. This one had everything. Had fumbles. It had block kicks. It had missed kicks. It had 59-yard game-leading kicks, game-tying kicks. It had everything you'd want in a prime-time thriller like this one was. And I think to start, you kind of have to start at the top. This was maybe Kyle Shanahan's best called game in, I don't know, a year and a half. This may have been Kyle's best called game maybe since 2023, the second half against the Lions. This was an impressive performance on every level for San Francisco. I thought Kyle called one of the greatest games he has in a very long time to simplify the offense and yet still drop back nearly 50 times with your backup quarterback, mind you. And to be fair, I did not think San Francisco had this in them. I did not think San Francisco could win a game like this with the personnel like this. I wouldn't have blamed you had you picked the Rams by 10. They were favored by 8.5. And I would have said, this game could be uglier than that. And San Francisco waltzed on into Los Angeles on a short week, hindered mightily with a lot of their guys off the football field, a lot of their guys injured. Brock Purdy, Ricky Pearsall, Juwan Jennings, George Kittle, still no running game, and found a way to eke this one out, to outduel Matthew Stafford, to outpace their offense, to play some sort of keep away early and fend off and kind of hold off the Rams' late push. This was an incredible game on all fronts for San Francisco. I thought Shanahan, knowing that you weren't going to beat the Rams deep downfield, you had to kind of eliminate and negate their incredible pass rush, that being Jared Verse and Young and Bryant and Puka Nacua and all those guys up front. It was just dink and dunk the whole way, And Jason 49ers 77 says it here first. This game was nuts. It reminded him of Week 17, 2019. That was in Seattle, against Seattle, on the road to win the division. This game reminded me, actually, Jason, of 2021, Week 18 at SoFi Stadium on the road. Win and you're in the playoffs, and lose and your season's over. San Francisco starts 3-5, and it takes them to the last game of the year to win. That game goes to overtime. This one had that same stuff, This one's this one said this one felt very much like a playoff atmosphere down there at SoFi Stadium. Over 60% of the stadium was filled with the Niner faithful. It was awesome. It was awesome to see. Now, again, me being, I think, a logical person, when I ran through the preview podcast, I said, look, this is a very San Francisco, yes, could get blown out. But also, San Francisco, if they are going to win, are going to have to beat the Rams through the air. We can discuss lack of run game, but I said you can take advantage of that really piss poor, thin, literally thin Rams secondary. And while San Francisco wasn't pushing the ball down the field over and over again, they were targeting this Rams secondary underneath all day. I have no idea what Sean McVay was doing, or the Rams DC, Shula. It made no sense to allow all game, not just in one half, not just in one quarter, all game. The Rams defense, Chris Shula, their defensive coordinator, allowed Mac Jones to eat them up underneath throughout the entirety of what became 4.5, almost 5 quarters of play. Mac Jones had 49 passing attempts. 49 passing attempts. I can almost guarantee you the average yards per attempt on Mac Jones, yards per completion was about 7, but yards per attempt certainly felt like 3 or 4 yards in this game. It was take what the Rams are going to give you. And Mac Jones fought through so much adversity. He walks in, and I think we all said, Kendrick Bourne's your receiver number 1. Demarcus Robinson, who's a fine player, is your receiver number 1 or 2. Like, those are your top 2 guys. Sky Moore, MVS. Really? You don't have your top tight end, your 4 top wide receivers, and the expectation is you're going to win? No, you're crazy. You're nuts. And Mac Jones, not just won without all those dudes. No Ayuk, Kittle, Pearsall, Jennings, all those guys out. No running game whatsoever once again. I think 77 total yards on the ground, I think, for San Francisco. 74. Even worse than I thought. And to go out there and win a game like this, it takes guts to clearly be either injured after being just lambasted by the Rams, which that was a roughing the passer that was not called on him. To then it looked like be done, like out of the game. He's out there, just not moving. He's limp. Nothing. Like, they cut the timeout, and I'm sure every Niner fan said, "You've got to be freaking kidding me." We don't have Brock Purdy. You're going to lose Mac Jones in a game where this is very close, that nobody really thought they'd be in, and they were winning 14-0 early? Really? He's limp on the ground, not moving, and they cut to him during the break, or after the break, he jogs off the field, and you go, okay, whatever's in the water, whatever hyperbolic chamber they have him in, it's working. Keep it going. Now, I'm sure Mac Jones will feel terrible after the game, and I'm sure he'll want a very, very long ice bath afterwards too, but he was getting massages and rubs and heating pads and ice packs the entire time on the bench. He was getting his forearms rubbed, his hands rubbed, his shoulder. Like, Mac Jones was under basically intensive care on the sideline every time he was not in between or on offense. This dude was in the ICU on the sidelines. It was blue medical tent every time the defense was on the football field. And the way he gutted this thing out, and this is a great point here by Jason in the YouTube chat. Niners had a 40.4, so 40 minutes and 4 seconds time of possession. And that's with a 74 yards from your running game. The Rams held the football for 26 minutes and 20 seconds. San Francisco had it for 40 minutes and 4 seconds. And here's the kicker. Look, the Rams made a ton of mistakes in this game. Multiple turnovers, missed kicks, bad kickoffs that helped San Francisco a ton. But here's the thing. The 49ers ran 83 total offensive plays. 83 total offensive plays compared to the Rams, who ran 64. San Francisco went for it 4 times on 3rd down. They were 3 for 3. But they ran 83 total plays for 407 yards on 11 total drives, average about 4.9 yards per play. The Rams, with 19 less plays, 64 total plays, nearly 20 less plays than San Francisco. They had 49 more total yards. They had nearly just under 3 more yards per play than San Francisco. They had basically 40 more passing yards than San Francisco. They outrushed San Francisco by 4 yards. They averaged 2.7 yards more than San Francisco on the ground. They were less penalized than San Francisco, and the Rams were more efficient in the red zone than the 49ers. San Francisco had no business winning this game. The numbers, the box score, the injuries would all point to, yeah, Rams win. Easy. Puka Nacua has a touchdown pass or reception, 84 yards. Matthew Stafford goes 30 for 47 and 3 touchdowns and 389 passing yards, and they still lost? Devontae Adams, 5 receptions, 88 yards, and the Rams still lost? I don't know what warped reality we walked into on Thursday night, but I want to live here forever. Like, what the heck? This game was incredible. And I want to relish this moment because we can get into conversations about, Mac Jones and Brock Purdy quarterback controversy. I don't want to have that conversation now. Mac Jones was freaking awesome tonight. Awesome. He was precise. He was decisive. He was on time. He was gutsy. He was gritty. He fought through pain and suffering. He did what it took to win this football game, knowing that the other side of it, that being Adrian Martinez having to play quarterback, likely meant you're not winning this football game whatsoever. What this win does for San Francisco, they now have 10 days off to week 6. You may or may not get Brock Purdy back, but you're almost nearly guaranteed, or at least close to guaranteed, getting George Kittle back. Pearsall should be back by then, hopefully, and Jawan Jennings is back. You'll be the healthiest you've been all year after or outside of week 1. Like, this win doesn't just equal a win, because it does, but also it gets you back to a point of near full health in just 10 days on the road in Tampa Bay. But Mac Jones, you can go through the entirety of the game. And on most days I would. There's just so much here. To get into. Like, again, there's 11 drives for San Francisco. I'm not going to go into all of them. They went 3 and out once. In 11 drives, San Francisco went 3 and out once. And the defense immediately forced the Rams to also go 3 and out. Complementary football. San Francisco's offense kept their defense off the football field and kept the ball out of the hands of Matthew Stafford. And it almost wasn't enough. It still was almost not enough. It took the Rams to shoot themselves in the foot continually. But guess what? San Francisco did the exact same thing against Jacksonville last weekend. 4 days ago, they turned the ball over 4 times. They were the ones making special teams mistakes. Jacksonville took advantage. Now San Francisco got to return the favor in a much bigger game. San Francisco's 3-0 in the NFC West. They've beaten the Seahawks, the Cardinals, and the Rams. We discussed at the beginning of the year when the schedule came out. Wow, the first 5 games are big. 3 division games, if you can at least win 2 of them. They won all 3. In fact, they won 2 division games with a backup quarterback. And they won the other one without George Kittle in the second half and with no running game. I don't know where you were on this 49ers team, and I certainly was sitting on the fence. of, I believe they'll be fine, but I need to see what they can do. There was still no pass rush tonight. Stafford had all day to throw. They got Stafford once in the very first drive of the game. Very first drive of the game. And that was it. That was the only pressure essentially San Francisco had on Stafford the entire night. But they survived. And they didn't just win 3 NFC West games. They are now 4-0 in the NFC Conference. The only loss they have is against the AFC South, a division they're never going to really have to deal with ever. It isn't going to tiebreakers. San Francisco won the 4 meaningful and most important games to begin their season, with the backup quarterback in 3 of them, and Juwan Jennings out in 2 of them. That's impressive stuff. This defense today was off the freaking charts. Yeah, there were some mistakes. Upton Stout got burnt a lot in this game. You can tell once the Rams started to get momentum, it was the Upton Stout, hey, pick on you show, and that wasn't great. And again, a pass rush, what do you expect Stafford to do? And Stafford was Matthew Stafford. Stafford was who he's been his entire career. He's playing maybe the best football ever. He walked in as the number 1 quarterback in like 13 different categories. It's a reason why I didn't give San Francisco a chance to win this game, or at least much of a chance to win this game. I thought Stafford is best in completion rate, big time throw rate, TD to INT ratio. And it was like, oh my God, like this feels insurmountable. This feels impossible with your starters. Now there's backups in? And Mac Jones out there flexing, pushing on Rams defenders. Like, he's out there having a little swag to him. Like, he got, like, Mac Jones. Shout out Mike Jones, the rapper. But, like, that's what it felt like. They're, like, the Niners were playing on this, like, otherworldly plane. Because Matthew Stafford was so freaking good. And San Francisco won on every single level. They won in the turnover battle. They got 2 of them. Trevis Gibson was taking Ubers, leaving games a week ago, and it gets a big fumble recovery early in the game. Now, San Francisco didn't capitalize on it, but still. How about the youngins out there on defense? Upton Stout wasn't great, got hurt in the game. Hopefully he's okay, but Marquise Siegel also wasn't his best day. I think safety's a pretty big weak spot for San Francisco. Mustafa come back soon. But Siegel, even on the last drive where, again, the Rams passing offense was finding room to throw, lanes to throw. On that last drive where they get the fumble on 4th and 1, or they get the big stop on 4th and 1. It's the second play of the drive. The Rams start the drive on their own 34-yard line. And in 2 plays, they're in the red zone. Because Siegel gives up a massive play to Tutu Atwell. And I'm sure like you're thinking, oh, here it is. This is it. San Francisco gets the field goal. The Rams are going to score a touchdown. Like, there were so many times in this game I kept saying, oh, too much time for Stafford. Oh, here comes this game-winning drive. And every time I thought that, San Francisco's defense answered. This defense is gritty. They have confidence instilled in them. And for the young guys to continue to make plays, again, earlier in the game, if I can find it here, Eddy Piñeiro makes a 59-yard field goal, gives San Francisco the lead. Okay? A touchdown gets the Rams the lead, and they'd be ahead 27-23. I'm sitting there scared, shaking in my seat. Oh, God, you got a field goal, but here comes Stafford. The Rams, once again, ball on their own 35-yard line, march all the way downfield. San Francisco gets called for a defensive holding. 3 of those on Lenore tonight. Not great. Then gets called for illegal hands to the face. Not great either. But they're at like the 1 yard line. Ball snapped at the 3. Alfred Collins punches the you-know-what out of that bozo Kyren Williams. Who's the big brother now, dude? You beat San Francisco hobbled, and you want to say you're a big bro now? You just got shamed in front of your home crowd. If that is even a home crowd, like, do Rams fans actually leave sad? They don't exist. That entire stadium was filled with Niner fans cheering. The Rams had to go on a silent count in their own stadium early in this one because Niner fans were so loud. So Piñeiro makes the kick. The Rams are on their 3-yard line. They're marching on San Francisco. Here they come, taking the lead. Alfred Collins not just punches the ball out of Kyren Williams' hands and gets the fumble, and you cut to Kyren crying on the sideline like, wah, wah. Yeah, you blew that one, buddy. But Collins also got a freaking fist full of Kyren's face mask. Just sucker punched him right in the face. Fist keeps going down right to the ball, knocks it out. It was a big break. San Francisco needed it, but San Francisco's backed up on their own 1-yard line, essentially. They do a QB sneak, get about a yard, then CMC gets stuffed, and we're all thinking, hey, it's 3rd and 8, go for the win, Kyle. Kyle says, no. We're going to play it safe. I don't love that, but okay. Semantics, you won, so it worked out most days. And probably had you had Pearsall and Kittle and Jennings, you probably would have gone for it, but okay. You played it conservative. It's a bad punt by Thomas Morstead. Terrible punt by Morstead late. It gets a nice return, but called back for holding, but the Rams are on the 50-yard line. And you're like, oh crap. A touchdown wins it. Touchdown, and it's over. San Francisco finally gets a stop, gets them to a field goal. Then you go to overtime. You get your field goal. Took 2 plays because the kicker for the Rams, what's his name again? Joshua Carty, who had been great all year long at getting teams on kickoffs, on the kind of the knuckleball kickoff, which it got Sky Moore twice in this game. He's been great at that all year. He misses the landing zone. San Francisco starts the drive in overtime on their own 40-yard line. In 2 plays, they're on the Rams' 35-yard line. They're downfield quickly. It's a completion to Kyle Juszczyk, who is really big in this game for San Francisco, making some small plays. I thought Juszczyk was super underrated in this one. If you go to the box score, Kyle Juszczyk, 3 receptions, 21 yards on 4 targets, 1 run that wasn't great, but I digress. San Francisco settles for a field goal. That one is doinks right in. And every time you chart out a kicker, you're thinking, okay, is this the one he misses? Is this the one he misses? And Eddy Piñeiro was freaking money tonight. He was Eddy Dinero tonight. Eddy Piñeiro has missed 1 field goal or PAT with the San Francisco 49ers. It was his very first PAT attempt against the Saints. Since then, he is perfect. 11 for 11 on field goals, and I think he's 6 for 6 on PATs. Tonight, against the Rams, he was 4 for 4 on field goals with a career-long 59-yard field goal to give San Francisco a 23-20 lead late in the 4th quarter. Also 2 for 2 on extra points with 14 total points to his credit today. Eddy Piñeiro had 14 of San Francisco's 26 points and gives San Francisco a lead in overtime. And you're begging, you're praying, can the defense hold on? Can the defense hold on? Oh God, here we go. 2 plays later, they're on San Francisco's 35, and I think everybody's just kind of sighed and said, okay, the luck has run out for the Niners. This is it. Stafford comes back, they get a win. We knew it was too good to be true. Really, Mac Jones and Kendrick Bourne, who was incredible outside of 1 drop tonight, had a career day in receiving yards. He was awesome. But this was the moment where we all said, okay, luck runs out. Defense is gas. They played 5 great quarters, held the Matthew Stafford offense to 23 points. It ends here. No. kind of circling back to Marquis Siegel getting burnt by Atwell late in the game in this drive for a deep ball, like 50 yards downfield, whatever it was, to set up the Rams in the red zone immediately. Who was on that game-saving 4th and 1? Like, the Rams could have gone for a field goal and said, look, 23-23, we'll bank on Mac Jones, who, yes, has beat us tonight a lot. The dude was, like, needing help to get to the sideline. Not sure if he was sick, not sure if he was throwing up or just needed an IV or just worn out. Dude was not feeling good. The Rams could have easily said, hey, 23-23, we'll trust our defense to stop Mac Jones, who feels like there ain't much left in that tank, and we'll win it on the next drive. They say, no, we're going for the kill. We have San Francisco exactly where we want them. And who makes the game-saving tackle? Diameter Lenore, the guy who was called for 3 defensive holdings tonight, and Marquis Siegel. This team is young. They make mistakes. But what they don't do is they do not quit. This team does not have quit in them. No Nick Bosa. You also lose Kalia Davis. You lose Yetur Gross-Matos. You lose D. Winters for a short period of time. You lose Upton Stout, who is getting picked on all night by the Rams offense. And you have to play Chase Lucas on the last drive of the game. They don't quit. They make the stop. And it's so crazy to think about this. I was going through San Francisco's games this year, looking at their wins thus far. Go all the way back to week 1 against the Seattle Seahawks. Week 1 in Seattle, on the road, Seahawks marching at your goal line, about to win the football game. Nick Bosa gets a big strip sack. Game's over. You walk off in Seattle. Week 2, you're in New Orleans. Game's pretty close still. Rattler's playing better than we all thought he might. What happens? Bryce Huff, big strip sack. You walk off in New Orleans. Week 3, you're on a tightrope. It's a 1-score game. If you don't score, it's over. If you don't stop the Cardinals, you lose. Who gets the big play? Upton Stout breaks up the pass to Zay Jones, giving way for an Eddy Piñeiro game-winning walk-off field goal. Then week 5. Alfred Collins gets the big goal line force fumble against Kyren Williams, who already beat you for 2 touchdowns tonight. Before that, he was money for the Rams. Then Marquis Siegel and Lenore tag team for the stuff. This team does not give up. You can poke holes in the offensive line. You can poke holes in the run game. You can poke holes in the secondary. You can poke holes in not having a pass rush. All that's true. All of that is true. And it will hurt San Francisco at some point this year. In fact, it already has against Jacksonville. And it may hurt against Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers in 10 days. But right now, this team is 4-1 because this defense does not quit. They fight through adversity. They push themselves. And on that last drive, on almost the entire second half, because you lose Yetur Gross-Matos and you lose Kalia Davis, you know what your defense is primarily compromised of or comprised of? That's the word. Rookie starting free safety Marquis Siegel. Rookie defensive end, first-round pick Kyren Williams. Rookie defensive tackle, second-round pick Alfred Collins. Round 4 rookie, CJ West. 4 rookies on that defense. Nothing Stout played outside of the last drive. You had 5 rookies on your starting defense with the game on the line, and they found a way to win. Yeah, you can say it's lucky. Okay, fine. The odds are the Rams aren't going to miss that many kicks. They're not going to have that many kickoff screw-ups. Jordan Elliott's not going to block a kick every single week. How good has Jordan Elliott been, by the way? He's been awesome this year. But, yeah, they're not going to make that many mistakes. Okay, yeah, guess what? The NFL is about how can you limit your mistakes. And the Rams are a great team. This is a massive win for San Francisco because the Rams are a Super Bowl contender. Some fans would even say they would probably win the Super Bowl. And San Francisco found a way to negate that pass rush, to limit Puka Nacua to the least amount of yards he's had all year at 84. A touchdown pass or reception. The Rams offense got going. But funny enough, for as good as the Rams were in this game, they did enough to win the game offensively, but their defense was not good. And special teams doomed them. And it wasn't as if San Francisco's special teams almost didn't doom them too. Piñeiro just doinked that last overtime kick in. Grendo got saved because they called forward progress and he fumbled the football. Sky Moore muffed like 4 kickoffs because of the knuckleball kick and recovered them all. San Francisco marched on the Rams defense 91 yards and scored a touchdown in this game. Had you told me that San Francisco at any point in this game with Mac Jones, no real true NFL caliber wideouts, maybe outside of Demarcus Robinson and even Kendrick Bourne, for as good as he was, he's a 5th or 6th guy on a good team. On a bad team, he's your number 1 on Thursday Night Football in prime time against the Los Angeles Rams. But on I think it was the second drive for San Francisco. Second drive. So their second drive in the first quarter, where San Francisco ran 22 plays compared to the Rams' 6 plays. Where San Francisco had the football and had 139 yards compared to the Rams' 7. One that shows you how good San Francisco was early, but also shows you how much of a push the Rams made late and how great it was San Francisco's defense was still able to kind of fortify itself and push through that push and hold them off. But the Niners were up 14-0 because Mac Jones led San Francisco's offense for a 17-play, 91-yard drive and took 8 minutes and 15 seconds off the clock. Through 2 drives, Mac Jones was 11 for 13, 101 yards, and 2 touchdowns. You know what's crazy? Christian McCaffrey didn't have a reception for like an entire quarter after his touchdown reception. And San Francisco found a way to still win. Niners never trailed. Great point by Papa J. Niners never trailed to the Matthew Stafford, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua-led Rams offense that had almost their entire defense. Like, this loss is embarrassing for them. Nobody picked San Francisco to win. Nobody smart said, hey, I'll take that bet. On the road, prime time, short week, you got your stuff shoved in against Jacksonville. You don't have your starting quarterback. Yeah, freaking right. I'm not taking that bet whatsoever. Never trailed. Mac Jones was sacked 1 time. And that 1 time was in overtime on 3rd down. San Francisco held Jared Verse, Byron Young, Poona Ford, and many others on the Rams' incredible defensive line. And I told you in the preview podcast, if there is one way or one of the major ways San Francisco could actually pull this one out is if the pass protection held up and gave Mac Jones the time to target and expose that terrible Rams secondary. They don't want to tackle. They don't want to cover. Like, I knew that was the route. Now, I didn't believe this Niners pass protection could do so. And a part of the reason it was so much better was because Mac was getting the ball out really quick. But that's how you negate that. You see teams all the time. Oh, Nick Bosa is your guy. The Chiefs are great at this. They just 2 seconds, hike balls out. And Stafford was doing the exact same thing to San Francisco's defense the whole night. Both quarterbacks, that ball was out. And now to the Rams offensive line credit, San Francisco, even when Stafford was running around, kind of looking for a play, they couldn't get any pass rush. But I thought San Francisco's offensive line was incredible tonight. They were tremendous. Yeah, there was some plays that maybe you didn't love, and you would like your quarterback to not get lambasted by Byron Young off the edge and whatnot. But, okay. Like, yeah, I agree. But one sack given up to Jared Verse, who we talked about is on that Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons, Nick Bosa, TJ Watt level of erasing guards and tackles from play. I thought McKivitz and Trent were awesome tonight. For as bad as they were against Jacksonville, my God, they were so much better. So much better. Just a great day for the offensive line. Great job by Matt getting the ball out. Shanahan just scheming up screen after screen. It was just dink and dunk all the way up the field. Bad job for the Rams and their defense to not adjust to any of that whatsoever. Dom Peralta here in the YouTube chat says, great show, Sterling. Thank you, Dom. I appreciate that. What a great win for the San Francisco 49ers. Man, this was a game that you almost couldn't believe what was happening, if we're being truly honest with ourselves. My wife doesn't watch football, doesn't like football, could care less. In fact, she was listening to Taylor Swift's new album during the game. And to her opinion, it's not very good, and that bums her out. But to me, it's great because now I don't have to listen to it on the way to work in the morning in the car. So that's kind of nice. But anyways, she can care less. And I was saying, oh, honey, I'm going to be so mad. Thursday's going to suck. It's San Francisco. The odds are they're not going to win. It's going to be ugly. I have to go on the air on 95.7 the game. We got to do a podcast afterward and just be kind of just grumpy about it. Oh, what'd you expect? San Francisco lost. The Rams had their whole team. Niners didn't. And now I'm like, you freaking losers, you freaking bums. Oh my God, the Rams, what is wrong with you? You came out flat-footed. You weren't prepared. You had no idea what you were doing. You didn't adjust defensively whatsoever. Your running game got stopped. 77 or 78 yards for Kyren freaking Williams. Both your running backs fumbled in this one, Blake Corum and Kyren. Oh my God, San Francisco walked into your place covered in dirt and mud and grime. They smelled like absolute garbage. They were in the dumpster. Their heads were down. They weren't feeling themselves. They looked like crap. They walked into your house. They took a shower. They opened the fridge. They ate your dinner. They ate your breakfast the very next morning, and they also ate your lunch you had left over from the night before. It was a close game, but San Francisco really dominated the Rams defensively all night long. And if you're the Rams right now, I wonder what the Ramily feels like. I'm seeing on social media and Twitter, oh, I can't believe, Kyren, you fumbled. Oh my God, you're terrible. They're in shambles. They're in shambles. They lost this game. They felt like this was easy money. Oh, the Niners are terrible. They suck. And the Rams defense came out looking like that. And for even how the Rams offense pushed back in the second half a lot, their offense came out flat. Their offense didn't look great until really the second half in the third quarter. And it was almost enough. You clearly saw there was a firepower deficiency. And we even talked about in the preview podcast that, look, no matter how much you're up by against the Rams, they score quick. They score really, really, really quick. And they did a lot. But again, to San Francisco's credit, the defense came up big time after big time. Just long, grueling drives to kind of milk that clock and get off the football field. And look, sometimes you get breaks. I've seen people talking about on social media too of the Rams made so many mistakes. You can't bank on that. Can't bank on that over and over again. And I would agree. But the football gods have punished San Francisco for years. Super Bowl losses, 2020, 2024, 2025, just being depleted by injuries. of like, haha, you stink, haha, and it's holding you down. And the football gods tonight said, look, for once, we're going to be on your side. We don't show up often, but when we do, your prayers aren't usually answered. But tonight, when you least expect us to show up, we're going to prove we still exist and that you should have some faith. Really should have some faith. But yeah, I mean, this game, man. I'm almost at a loss for words because there are so many moments in this game that you can point to as pivot points. Shanahan not going for it when Mac Jones got railed, and saying, "Look, kick the field goal, give my quarterback some time to get healthy." And that was a point where we kind of all said, "Oh, that may not be great." Yeah, you make a field goal and that's cool and everything, but like, it was 20-7. It could have been, it could have been 24-7. Like, you really could have made it, 3 scores instead of 2 scores. And, that was a pivot point in the game that really could have hurt San Francisco. And the very next drive, the Rams march all the way down the field. And Stafford starts feeling himself, and all of a sudden, boom, you're only up by 6. And you said, uh-oh. What's going on here? The very next drive, you got a punt because Pooney gets blown up on 3rd and 1, and I'm sitting there saying, hey, just get a field goal, make it 23-14, make it a 2-score game, and nope, not the case. The Rams then score a touchdown. They missed a PAT. But the Rams missed a PAT. I think they got the PAT blocked, to keep it tied. Then San Francisco punts again. And you're just like, oh my God, like, this is it. Like, you had him on the ropes. You couldn't put him away. That's the end of the road. It's the end of the story. Bing, bang, boom. I have to watch the freaking Tron Aries commercial 90 more times while the Niners lose this game. Oh, I can't wait. How special. Jared Leto. Thank you telling me San Francisco lost and your movie's out in 2 months. Whatever. And then that's when they force the punt on the Rams. And then San Francisco has the ball on their own 2-yard line and marches for a field goal. Like, this game, it's not even the fact that the Niners didn't have their weapons. It isn't even the fact that it was the backup quarterback. They're on the road. You're playing the Rams, a great team. Even the drives themselves had adversity in them, right? Couldn't run the football. Kendrick Bourne was hurt for one drive late in the game and came back later. He had a pivotal drop early. It felt like every single drive had like 5 3rd downs. Like, on this drive alone, you look at it, you can see, 1 3rd down, 2 3rd down, 4th and inches. Like, this team was fighting for inches in this game. They did 3 3rd down conversions in this one. Go to other drives, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 3, 3rd and goal, 4th and goal. Like, this team continually. It's almost like they're moving at a snail's pace, but somehow getting it done. Like, this really was kind of the story of the tortoise and the hare. Of like, yeah, the hare's quick and it can score fast and everything, but like, the tortoise is still getting the work done. Tortoise moving slow. It's not pretty. Little, kind of nasty looking. Like, there's that photo of Mac Jones on social media where his pants are half down. Looks like he's sagging and everything. Like, his shoulders are all jacked up, and you're just like, yikes. You have been through hell, and you've somehow found a way to win this one and pull it out. This was just, there's so many plays. I'm just kind of glancing at my notes and I'm like, yeah, Stafford, 34 yards to Atwell. 34 yards to Atwell. Stafford zipped to Nacua for 16 yards. Nacua's touchdown. 3rd and 1, quarterback sneak. Rams challenge it, and it's successful. Get their timeout back. 4th and inches, ball on their own 39-yard line, San Francisco, gutsy call by Shanahan, right? It's 20-14. 20-14. The Rams just scored. You had the ball on your own 27-yard line. Grendo just got bailed out from his fumble that was called forward progress. 3rd and 1, the Rams challenge it. You don't get a first down. 4th and 1 on your own 39. If you don't get that, you're giving the Rams an easy score, at least a field goal. You get it, though. In the very next play, with 1 minute left in the third quarter, San Francisco burns their second timeout. There was times in this game where Kendrick Bourne didn't know the play on 2nd down, then Sky Moore didn't know the play on 3rd down. Like, this team was dysfunctional. It was ugly. Guys didn't know what play they were running. There was miscommunication all over the place on defense. Upton Stout got beat like 4 times because he didn't know who he was covering. And guys were wide open. And they dug deep, sacked up, if you will, had a blue-collar kind of day. Like, this was a game you look at and you say, man, I don't know how you pulled that one off, and it buys you an extra week. Because we all talked about, wow, you wasted the game against Jacksonville. But now you turn around and you say, whoa, like, you weren't perfect by any means, but you played turnover-less football. You didn't turn the ball over at all. You made all your kicks. Special teams was kind of great, good enough, if you will. The defense got 2 turnovers. Like, this very well is the Rams-Jaguars game. Like, you tell Rams fans, yeah, we played down to our opponent, they'd agree. The Rams played down to San Francisco tonight. But also on defense, San Francisco took the game away. Big PBUs by Lenore and Green in the end zones, and even Siegel in the end zone in this one. Late in the game, like, you don't stop Matthew Stafford when they get in the red zone. And you look at the team stats on ESPN, like, the Rams tonight were in the red zone 5 times. They average 4 red zone trips a game. And they got there in extra time against you, mainly because overtime. But you held them to 3. And the one time they got in, you blocked a field goal. And this was a freaking masterclass by Robert Saleh, a masterclass by Kyle Shanahan. Like, this was a game you point to and say, wow, what a statement. Wow. Where'd that come from? Kendrick Bourne, who had 3 drops against Jacksonville and very much was a large part of the reason San Francisco lost that game, had a big 3rd and 9 drop that would have probably had an open for 30 yards downfield to run for, and maybe would have gave San Francisco a massive boost in that game. Also dropped the pass on 3rd down in this one to a point where on Twitter I said, Kendrick Bourne might be a drive killer. That might be, like, that's the nickname now. Bourne is a drive killer. Yet on the night, 10 receptions, 142 yards on 11 targets. This team signed Kendrick Bourne after what, week 1? Off the scrap heap when he was deciding between Washington and San Francisco and chose to sit out week 1 to see what happens. And there's still a lot of road bumps, a lot of ugliness. But he overcame. He was as sure-handed could be. They got Bourne, McCaffrey, Tungus, Robinson, Juszczyk, MDS, Luke Farrell, and even Malik Turner, who's a practice squad lifer, got a target in this game. He didn't catch the football. It was a bad throw. But practice squad dudes were getting targets, and San Francisco found a way to win. And it's kind of hard to, look at things and be like, wow, like what the heck? Like nothing adds up. The numbers don't lean San Francisco's way. The really even the in-game stuff, like the Rams should have won this game. Like the Rams were surging And it was like this game, in the second half, the fourth quarter in particular, right? Where you go back to the box score for a second. Like San Francisco's winning 17-7 at halftime. The Niners only scored 6 total points in the third and fourth quarter. The Rams scored 16 points in the third and fourth quarter of the second half, right? Okay. The Rams are surging. They outscored you 16-6 by 10 points. And this game, that second half in particular, was almost like a high-speed chase where the Niners were the cops. They were the police. And they're trying to keep up with the guy, the burglar, whatever they are, the car thief, whatever, the carjacker, and that guy's speeding away. He gone, and you're like, oh, I can barely see him. Like you're on the radio, like, where is he? Where is he? You know, where is he? Oh, he's going southbound. And you're like, oh God, like things are getting out of hand. We feel the grip of this one loosening. You got the sense of like, oh crap, here we go. Papa J says here. He says shut. I know what you mean. I was saying, oh, throughout the whole game. Here's the time Stafford gets it. Here's where San Francisco falters. And just like a high-speed chase, the Rams are pulling away. Here they go. Gonna get a lead. All of a sudden, San Francisco, Robert Saleh, Eddy Piñeiro, if you will, pulls out the freaking chain spikes and just throws it in front of their car. The tires pop, and all of a sudden it's they're at a full stop at 4th and 1. They're at a full stop on a goal line fumble. Like the Rams had the ball not once, but twice in the fourth quarter and in overtime on your 1 yard line and could not punch it in. That's impressive. That's grit. That is tenacity. I don't know what word you want to use to describe San Francisco's defense. And look, I know this wasn't the most in-depth show. There's too much. 5 quarters of football. In every drive, there was 4 or 5 plays that meant something for San Francisco. Kendrick Bourne, heck of a game. What a bounce back. He was dressed like he was going out afterwards, and rightfully so. You played the game of your life. You really did. Mac Jones, man, get healthy. I mean, this dude might be the bionic man when it's all said and done. He's got a hurt shoulder, hurt arm, hurt foot, hurt knee. Like, he's cramping, everything. But he gutted it out. And teams take on the life of their head coaches and defensive coordinators, and that showed tonight. But also, teams take on the personality of their quarterbacks. And Purdy's the same way. His injury is more severe, though, than we thought it was. And I really think, and I have good info here, that I'm pretty sure while San Francisco would like to wait things out with him and give him 10 days off against till week 6 against the Buccaneers and see if they can get all their guys back at the same time. They are really discussing an IR stint for him, which would suck. He came back too soon. He knows that. They know that. And IR is not off the table for him. But in that case, I think Mac Jones has proven he's won 3 or 4 games, but against the Rams tonight, the biggest one by far, that he's gritty enough and he'll fight till the end. And you're seeing that permeate through the rest of the team. Now, that is a grittiness that was there with Purdy in 2022 and 23, and even last year for a certain extent, albeit they weren't coached very well. And you saw that with a little bit of Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, that is how you'd characterize the regime itself. Gritty, fight their injuries all the time. They've been the most hurt team in football like every single year, it seems like. But you can definitely tell there is this, I want to fight for Mac, like there was, I want to fight for Purdy. I want to fight for Jimmy G. That when the defense sees you without your top weapons, with really no running game, which is still a massive problem. In fact, here's a crazy stat for you. San Francisco, I believe, is 11-7 all time against the Rams when it's Shanahan versus McVay. That includes the playoff game in 2021. tonight, this win was the first time San Francisco has not reached 100 rushing yards, 4.3 yards a carry, and 1.5 touchdowns in a game. I'll repeat that. This is the first win San Francisco has gotten when it is Kyle versus Sean McVay, Shanahan versus McVay, when the rushing attack couldn't get 100 yards and score a touchdown. San Francisco is the only team still yet to have a rushing touchdown this year. I have more stats here for you because who doesn't love stats? Teams since 1940 to be 4-1 or better through 5 games with 0 rushing touchdowns. This year's 49ers and the 5-0 1990 49ers. Teams since 1940 to be 4-1 or better with 0 defensive interceptions. The 2022 Giants, who are 4-1, last year's Washington Commanders, who are also 4-1, and this year's 49ers. Get this. Any team since 1940 with 0 rushing touchdowns and 0 interceptions through 5 games. This year's San Francisco 49ers. This year's Niners are the only team in NFL history since 1940 to not have a rushing touchdown or an interception through 5 games. They're 4-1. Eventually, the dam has to break. I'll give you some more stats here. The Rams tonight ran the football about 4.9 yards per carry. Pretty good. Much better than San Francisco's 2.2, I believe it was. The Rams had 15 rushing attempts by running backs. 14 of them went for a gain of at least 1 yard. Only 1 of them went for no gain. The very last one. If that is not impressive, I don't know what is. If that is not a miracle, I don't know what is. If you don't believe in a God somewhere, you might want to start now because it feels like there's some religious magic at work, some higher power, if you will, at work. Here's even more stats. Kendrick Bourne tonight, a career high in receiving yards against the Rams. An incredible game. 142 receiving yards for Kendrick Bourne, the most of his entire career. Mac Jones tonight threw 49 attempts for 342 passing yards. That was the second most yards in a game in his career. Alfred Collins got his first career forced fumble, and Eddy Piñeiro makes a career-long 59-yard field goal to give San Francisco what became a lead to carry them into overtime in this one. And to kind of prove to you why it's bad, San Francisco can't run the football. Mac Jones became the first 49ers quarterback to have 19-plus passing touchdowns in a game since Nick Mullins, who had 19 in 2020 against the Giants. That was part 2 of San Francisco's MetLife Stadium road trip in 2020. They lost Garoppolo, Mostert, Thomas, and Bosa in the first game. They had to trot out Nick Bosa. I was in Texas at a wedding at that game, and you don't want to be Nick Mullins' level of passing for 19 first downs in this one. Man, this was a game. And I think to kind of sum things up pretty well, Christian McCaffrey talked after the football game to the Amazon Prime broadcast, and he said, it wasn't pretty, but it was a test of character. And I think while there are certain players that are healthy now that weren't last year for San Francisco, there's a ton new defensive starters, a new regime in place on defense with Saleh and company, Gus Bradley and other guys out there. The Niners banked on young guys growing up quickly. And when you lose Nick Bosa, when your offensive firepower isn't there, when you can't run the football, you are asking so much of those young guys to step up and make plays for you. You're asking those guys to say, hey, I know you only played in one game, or you get to play a single snap in your NFL career. Win this one for me. And San Francisco has gotten that level of play. Now, it's not been great all the time. They have holes for sure. They have issues for sure. But to be able to ask young guys, again, 5, 6 rookies on defense playing pivotal snaps for you in this one, to ask those guys to make big plays, and they have Stout and Collins, week 3, now week 5, game-winning, game-saving plays for you. Siegel as well in this one too. And have those guys answer that call, that is something San Francisco has desperately been missing out of their draft classes. And in last year's draft class with Pearsall got shot, now he's back and playing well, but he's hurt now. Like, they've gotten some of that from them. Pooney is a starter for you this year. And I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody else, but like, really haven't gotten that from their draft classes really since 2020. When it was like Uke and Colton McKivitz and even Kinlaw, who wasn't great, was in that class. But, I think Lenore's in that class too. Like, not been great. Like, not been a great class for a long time for them. So I think to ask young guys to make those big plays and step up and have them answer the call, it's a big deal. Most teams couldn't say that was going to happen. And look, there'll be problems down the road and everything. But right now, I think I feel pretty good. I want to end on 2 notes, though, on Christian McCaffrey and on the quarterback controversy that some of you out there are certainly feeling. Christian McCaffrey forced 12 missed tackles tonight per Next Gen Stats. That is the most since he joined the 49ers. Now, most of those were through the air, not on the ground, which you wish those were on the ground a little bit, but man, and look, San Francisco's defense was awesome tonight. The offense left a lot to be desired because it just is super one-dimensional, but it was just so good. Dink and dunk all your way to death by 1,000 cuts. Kyle Chipto says here in the YouTube chat, Bernardo Green was glorious today. I thought San Francisco's secondary was awesome. Pinnock wasn't great. Siegel had a few blips, and Stout wasn't phenomenal either. But you got to expect young guys are going to struggle against Devontae and Puka and all those dudes. And even then, like, Devontae Adams really wasn't a factor until late in the game. Puka Nacua, same thing. Like, you kind of shut those guys down for a whole half, and that means a lot. Like, you're never going to hold those guys back for a whole game. And I think Green, for as bad as he was against, Seattle and the Saints and the Cardinals and having those one bad drives, he didn't really have a bad drive at all. Like, it was great to see him back out there. He didn't play last game, came back, obviously, hopefully healthier at least, and played really well. Kyle Chipto also says that Mustafa, whenever he comes back, and Siegel will be the best safety duo in football by next year. I'm going to pass on that. I think coverage will be a problem, but it should improve with Pinnock not on the field as much and Pinnock playing the Jair Brown slot, bigger nickelback role. That feels like that's what you want. You don't want Pinnock starting at strong safety for you. But, there is that. Hard to deny the potential of how good this young defense can be. But to end today's show, I do want to talk about the quarterback stuff because I feel like a lot of you out there who are sensible people will say it's Purdy's job. He's getting paid. But some people may say, hey, Mac Jones won you 3 games. Mac Jones did something Purdy didn't do last year at all. won a game without really piss poor offensive weapons. And I do think that Purdy really, like, I put on Twitter tonight during the game that Mac Jones is playing football like you want Brock Purdy to play. That Mac Jones is decisive. He's precise. He's on the money. He's on time. He's operating in the offense. And Brock Purdy really hasn't done that this year. Obviously, there's context behind it, and I'm making it more simple than it actually is. But I want to see Brock have a more conservative nature to get the ball out quickly, let the offense cook. And it's so great because Mac Jones talked to, I think, Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated and said, this is the first time out of my, two teams I played for with the Patriots and Jacksonville that the offensive coaching staff, the play callers, Shanahan, Kubiak, said, hey, this is the play call. This guy is going to be open here. Trust it. And Jones said, it happened. Like, this is the first time I've had a play caller say, this is going to happen. This is how it's going to go. And it went the exact same way they said it's going to happen. I think that allows Mac to drop back, be confident, and say, hey, look, if I make a mistake, kind of on the coaching. Like, the ball's going here, boom, bang. And look, Mac's played better than a one-read quarterback, and I think Mac looks like right now a top 25 quarterback in football. He's playing really good. And I think he's really calm in the pocket. He's letting plays come to him. He's taking the easy throws. I want Purdy, who has shown an ability to do that and do so much more, to kind of reel things back in. Sometimes you cast your line and you get too far. You got to reel things back in. There's no fish in the area. I went too far, right? And you're reeling in. Okay, you're taking forever. Okay, like Mac is he's just playing right outside the boat, just boop boop boop. But he's catching fish all day. 4 yards here, 5 yards here, 4 yards here, letting his guys do the work. And Purdy has shown the ability to be a top 10 quarterback in football, in my opinion, at least. And I want Purdy to almost kind of tighten things back up. He himself said he wanted to do those things and said his best tape was in 2022. And a lot of that was because he was playing in the offense. And I'm sure because of the bad pass protection in previous weeks and, injuries on the weaponry and everything. But I do think that I do want to see Purdy play a little more simple, if that makes sense. Like, I want the deep crossers. I want the explosive plays. We all want those things. But for a quarterback that's kind of having a hard time not turning the ball over and does kind of feel a little bit overexposed at times, literally and figuratively, I do want him to, that being Purdy, to kind of dial things back a bit and then get confidence, get consistency, then bang, let's start rolling again. And we can start casting our reels out and our poles out and our lines out, 30 yards, 40 yards downfield. Kyle Chipto says here that Kyle keeps it simple for Mac, no downfield throws. Seems like he forgets he doesn't need to have deep crossers every single play. And look, maybe some of that is for Kyle too, knowing he has a guy he can trust a lot. To make those big time throws, but also it's like, hey, you don't need to have them. And for Brock, we all talked about last year, you don't have Christian McCaffrey, you don't trust Mason as your check down. Like, it's going to help having CMC back. And it really hasn't. Like, Purdy's making the same mistakes he was last year. Like, he's trying too hard. He's making his life harder for him, trying to make the big play every single time. And, sometimes it's like, hey, if they're playing off zone coverage, like the Rams were all night long for whatever dumb reason that was, you can dink and dunk your way to a win. But also, when the Rams eventually play press coverage and a guy gets behind them, boom, that's when you crush them. You say, hey, you tempted fate and you lost. The Rams did not tempt fate at all tonight. They were just playing soft off-zone coverage and letting the Rams or letting San Francisco's guys eat all the time. Dom Peralta says here that Purdy feels like Purdy still is in try too hard mode. It certainly does. And look, that's probably a more simple way to describe what's happening, but people really are hyping up Mac and saying, oh, it looks so easy with him. His success today is not sustainable with the offensive weaponry he has and the lack of run game he does, any other defensive coordinator would have played press coverage against these Niners weapons, or at least tighten things up a bit. They're playing 5 yards off these dudes at time and giving them whatever they wanted. And look, that is the Rams' weakness, but like you play teams like the Buccaneers or even the Texans. Like it's a good defense. So like what Mac did tonight, it's great. I'm happy. Why wouldn't you be? It was awesome. It was a great win, great team win overall. All three phases won you this game. But what Mac did tonight doesn't feel sustainable with the offense they have and the lack of run game they have. And so I don't want to over amplify Jones's performance because, yeah, it was great. The odds you can do it week 6 are pretty slim. And I don't like, there are politics here as well with the quarterback stuff. Like, you're not going to pay Brock Purdy a ton of money and then bench him because Mac Jones wins 3 games against the Saints, the Cardinals, and the Rams, which the latter is the best one by far. It is a great win by far. Purdy hasn't played great this year. I don't want fans to think Purdy's cooked, Purdy's done because Jones has played well. Like, the minute Purdy's healthy, Jones will play. Now, if Jones wins you games against the Buccaneers and against the Falcons and against the Texans, and you're approaching, week 10, and Mac Jones has you at, 7-2 or, 6-3, whatever it may be, 6-4, 7, whatever, a very good above 500 record, and you're in the lead for the NFC West, like, do you go back to Brock Purdy for a year? I mean, you'd assume you do, but those are questions you have to answer later in the day. But I think the best way to put this is, it's like playing a video game. Mac is playing on medium difficulty, and Brock's playing on like ultra mega hard mode. And for Brock, sometimes dwindling things down to, like, I love playing MLB The Show. It is my favorite game. I love baseball to the nth degree. I hate Madden. It's not real football. I hate it. I love playing MLB The Show. I am on Legend on all of the difficulties. But sometimes you don't play in a while. And you go, oh man, I got to tighten things back up. Drop down to Hall of Fame. Get used to your reps, and all of a sudden you go back to Legend and you're good again. Like, I think Brock should do that in some way, if that makes sense. Like, it's okay to make things simple for you, to make things easier for you, to make the harder stuff easier for you. If that makes sense. But I think Mac Jones put it perfectly here. And we'll end with this. This is Mac Jones after the game. After beating the Rams on the road, shorthanded, all that stuff. Mac Jones on Brock Purdy. And I quote here, "They brought me here to play as a backup. That's my job. Brock is the starter of this team right now, dealing with something, that being a toe injury. To go out last week, not at full health." Clearly, Mac Jones is saying Purdy was not 100% last week, which it clearly showed with the overthrows. He cares about this team. I'm trying to get wins for him. I think Mac realizes that, whatever happens, but also, like, he wants the Sam Darnold route. He wants the Baker Mayfield route. He realizes that I'm not here for the long haul. Might be here for a year, might be here for 2, but he knows that this is not his home forever. And I think fans, despite the quarterback controversy being a major part of the fan base in recent years, have to realize that, like, Purdy's the guy and live or die by that and everything. And I get it. Purdy's a smaller dude and Mac's a bigger guy, can probably sustain more hits, has a bigger arm and everything. But, like, you've seen Purdy do magical stuff in this offense. I don't think that erases after 2 pretty bad games against Seattle and Jacksonville, albeit hurt against Jacksonville. And I don't know, like, I question myself, would Purdy win this game? If you don't think he would, I think you're crazy. But also, I don't think the Niners offense operates like this with Purdy in it. It's more complex. There'd be more deep shots downfield. And I think San Francisco just said, look, the Rams are going to play soft zone coverage and 5-step dropbacks. And, we're just going to dink and dunk the whole day. And the Rams never adjusted. So, I don't think Purdy plays against the Buccaneers. Time will tell. We'll see how that goes. But don't buy into the quarterback controversy just yet. Just yet. And look, this is a great point. Cal Chipto says, watch Mac go to the Rams next year as the bridge. I think Mac's under contract for 2 years, but when Stafford retires, I could really see Mac Jones going to McVay-led offense in Los Angeles. They're really good. But that's probably a good place to end. San Francisco gets the win, 26-23 in the Thursday night prime time football overtime thriller on the road, shorthanded, backup quarterback, without their top 4 offensive weapons minus Christian McCaffrey, no Nick Bosa, only 1 sack on the day, maybe at most 2 quarterback hits. There wasn't much being done there in regards to pass rush. That has to get better. You need help. Maybe this win pushes San Francisco to buying an edge rusher at the trade deadline. You never know. But this is a great win. This is a great win for the 49ers. This isn't one guy did great. It took everybody by any means necessary, whatever it takes to get the win. That's what you do on the road, shorthanded, prime time, and you beat the freaking Rams. So sorry, baby. Those same old sorry-ass Rams. They get to go and sulk while San Francisco gets to hopefully get back healthy in week number 6. Great win. Now you get to sit back and watch teams play and beat themselves up on Sunday. Be kind of a elongated bye week, if you will, and heal yourself up and get ready for another tough game in Tampa Bay, week 6, rooting for a Cardinals and Seahawks and Philadelphia Eagles loss. If Philadelphia loses, I believe, I think I'm correct here, San Francisco and Philadelphia would both be 4-1. If Philadelphia loses, I think the San Francisco 49ers, who are already, if things ended today, the number 2 seed in the NFC, would be the number 1 seed in the NFC. Who would have thought you'd be there in 2025? Hopefully good things are coming. Hopefully Brock Purdy can get healthy. But in the meantime, it is, as the San Francisco 49ers social media team put it, lights, camera, and maction. Yeah, that's what happens tonight, folks. Lights, camera, and maction. But thank you, everybody in the YouTube chat. Thank you, everybody listening at home, in your cars, on Spotify, or on the audio podcast versions. Hopefully you guys can follow me on social media at 49ers_access is the X or Twitter. 49ers.access is the Instagram. If you want to see San Francisco play this year, I know some of you used the promo code to watch this game live and in person. Obviously, it worked out for you out there in Los Angeles, but use our promo code 49ERSAccess, 49 ERSACCESS at SeatGeek.com and save yourself $20 off your first purchase. Okay, Niners win. They're 4-1. They get to go on the road once again next, or 2 weeks? 2 weeks and 10 days. And hopefully get another win against an NFC opponent. But great job by Mac Jones, Kendrick Bourne, and this young defense. Alfred Collins, Marquis Siegel, Fred Warner. You're still looking like a DPOY, and Kyle Shanahan should be right now. This was a game of the year, coach of the year candidacy, in my opinion. Kyle Shanahan belongs in the coach of the year award conversation. Okay, my name is Sterling Bennett. Niners win 26-23. Beat the Rams in prime time Thursday Night Football. And as always, until next time, stay faithful.